when you see a person come before you at this particular time, and I know sometimes it's good to give those particular people a certain amount of respect when they're trying to teach you a certain amount of things, but you got to realize one thing about this when you're doing that, and just understand this. This particular knowledge is your knowledge. So in so many words, the spirit realm chose a group of people to go through this, to access all this particular information, to give it back to the one who are waking up at this dispensation of time. So in so many words, it's your birthright to get this particular knowledge and this particular information. It's your information. It's not the speaker's information. You see, it's too often we look at that person has great wisdom, and we want to turn our life over to that particular person. And the whole key is that person was just a person to reintroduce you to knowledge. You understand that's not only just in you, but it was knowledge that you put down before you went to sleep and agreed to come back to get this particular knowledge at this particular time. So in so many words, you agreed to come back at this particular time to rediscover your past and rediscover your particular information, and ultimately rediscover that you are gods and not human. You see, you agreed to do that. So in so many words, it's your birthright to get this particular knowledge and this particular information. It's your information. It's not the speaker's information. So in so many words, it's your birthright to get this particular knowledge and this particular information. It's your information. It's not the speaker's information. So in so many words, it's your birthright to get this particular knowledge and this particular information. It's your information. It's not the speaker's information.
Church, rising in power to all the great mothers out there, especially to the special great mother that just transitioned, my midwife, Afua Hassan. This one is for you. And to make it even more special, Afua, why did you do us like this? Why, Afua, why? We got him coming back. Another one, not two. But yes, Dreaming D-Ray Wise is having another one. Damn you, Afua. Another one coming back, baby Kim. We are excited. I am going through hell on earth, boy. Somebody's going to help me figure this thing out. Khadijah, I need your guidance. I don't know where I went wrong to get this kind of punishment that I'm about to ordeal, that I'm about to deal with. Man.
What? So y'all pregnant?
We are pregnant.
We are pregnant.
We are pregnant again, Khadijah.
Wow.
Yeah, man, and it was amazing. The last time, we was pregnant, and we was talking to you about it, and we was like, "Hey, Khadijah, man, what's up? Like, tell me something." And you were like, "Oh yeah, nah, this it has to happen. It has to happen." And once our daughter came, Cara, the most beautifulest girl in the world, right, came through, man, everything turned into gold for us. It was just an amazing ride. It's been amazing. And now we got to welcome baby Kim. K-E-M. We don't know the gender yet, but we know the name.
Nice.
Man. So yeah, it's happening. It's happening. It is happening. Oh, did I share my screen?
No, your screen is not shared at all.
Oh, okay. See.
Yeah, baby number 3. Oh God. But you know what's the funny thing, Khadijah and everybody that's tuning in? This baby been talking to us for a year now.
Oh.
This baby has been talking to us for a year now. That's how we already know the baby's name. Like, And we've had to have a conversation with this soul, basically saying, okay, these are the stipulations. Okay. this, and this needs to happen in order for all of this to happen. And trust me, it all happened.
Not one, not
It's
two,
all
but
happening.
three. So we sharing it with the world right here, right now on Mother's Day. Shout out to all the mothers out there, man. Shout out to
Yes.
Khadijah, man.
Shout out to Khadijah. Shout out to this one. This the one right here. Kara, say hey. Let me see if you're gonna be seen. I don't know.
Hello, beautiful one.
Don't worry, she
Hello.
say hey. Khadijah, this the one right here. You said she gotta come back.
Yes.
And
Beautiful.
she has been everything.
Everything.
All right, now go. You see, she know what we be doing this show too. So she knows she's supposed to be in her room doing her thing, but she come out here just so she can get a little cameo.
So she wants some of that love too, huh?
She definitely does. She definitely does. Yes, y'all. Baby number 3. We like, ooh, oh goodness. But okay.
Yeah, so
Y'all got this. Y'all holding it down. This is the last one, or y'all still trying to make break?
this the last
No, we're done.
Okay.
They just stopped playing with us. But it was interesting because our midwife had just transitioned, right? She transitioned a month ago.
On Easter. She was a midwife.
Right.
One of the only Black midwives in Houston to own her own birthing center, and she passed on Easter. So that right there in itself shows you that we are really divine beings in this human flesh waking life. And then when we walk in our purpose, right, it shows. Like, this lady delivered thousands of babies and made the transition on Easter.
Wow.
The fertility day.
Yeah, a huge gateway. Yeah.
Yeah, so that was amazing.
We're getting her her house that were 2,000 babies. You can't do that. 2,000 babies in it's a historical marker, or we're trying to get it as a historical marker because some people are trying to take the center, or they already you know how to
gentrification is happening in the area.
So they're taking the whole center, and it's crazy. 2,000 births came out of there. You know what I mean? And yeah, we can't even allow that to happen. We you know what I mean? So we like, no.
Yeah.
Let me see if I can find a picture of because that's in a historical, because I mean landmarks, you know what I'm saying? We can't really play around like that, right? So it's like, nah, we gotta make sure we keep this with us, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
In that type of stream. But yeah, man. So yeah, baby number 3 is coming. We're here. We're like, okay, it's happening. Happy Mother's Day to all the mothers, man. Nah,
we haven't even told our mothers yet, y'all. So we about to tell our mothers today. Happy Mother's Day, Grandma again.
It's always fun being a grandmother though, because you can play with them, spoil them, teach them, and give them right back to the parents.
Right.
I want to start off with too, Khadijah, because I was always interested and curious about the fairy godmother's mother. Your mother. What was your mother like, and what did she teach you to kind of, move you into the space you're in now?
Well, it was more so my grandmother. My mother was a mother that was always very loving. She was always giving her security. She was always one that she would not let us out her sight unless she had to. A very protective, a very loving mother. She allowed me to be in my space. She would always say that I was like a rebel with a cause, because I was always in my own world. And for the first 3 years, she says, I really didn't smile much until my my her second daughter that was born, my second sister, I didn't smile until then because she said I was just always in my own world. It was my grandmother who actually would, taught us the meditations, and I think I've shared, you all have probably heard me share in my classes where I used to be so upset when grandma, because I started doing these meditations. She started making us do meditations around 11 years old. And I was so upset because I wanted to go play outside, go ride my bike, go get on my skates, go play with my cousins. Cause we all lived around that time. We lived with my grandmother. It was me, my two sisters, and my two cousins. So it was 5 of us. So we used to have a ball, And so when grandma would say, y'all got to sit down and do meditation. Oh, we was not trying to hear that. And so when we would all do meditation and I would fall asleep. And I would get up and I'd be so mad because as I was waking, I would hear everyone outside playing, laughing, having a good time, no telling how much I missed of playtime, So I'm mad at grandma. Like, grandma, why didn't you wake me up when everybody else got up? Am I doing the meditation wrong? She just laughed and looked at me. No, you're doing it right. And so, of course, at that time, you really don't want to, I wasn't a person at that age to ask questions. I just wanted to play. Very upset with grandmother, like I said, but boy, let me tell you, when years passed on, of course, I so appreciated her. She always dealt with the Ouija board. That's how she spoke with spirits. So she taught us how to use that, how to open the gateway, close the gateway, and working with the spirit boards. Mm-hmm. So then she would have us go to meditation retreats. They were Edgar Cayce retreats because she was part of the ARE group, the Edgar Cayce's group. So so she kept us in we'd have to go through different, they would have those tarot card events where we had to sit with many different oracle tarot card readers. And if ever we had a problem, especially when I got into my adolescent years, she would have us go to readers. If we had a dream, right away, she would send us to this big blue book, dream book, and would have us, figure out our dreams, teach us how to do our dreams. And little did I know, she was teaching us also how to read. She would take out this different type of reading set and she would use it. She would present it to us like it was a game we were playing. Like we were playing a board game of such. She would present it in that way. But it wasn't until later in life I said, Grandma was teaching us how to read. So it was, my mother brought me in to meet with my grandmother. And even when she passed on in the astral realm, she helped out tremendously. Mm-hmm. So yeah, that's how my journey got started. And even for a small time, I'll share this with you all as well. When that small time, the time, let's say from 11 to, I would say about 28 is where I would just get my spiritual guidance from my grandmother. But then that's when I started to get into the occult studies, which actually my grandmother got concerned because she was worried about me getting into that dark side that people get afraid of, not really understanding that I was learning how to connect and integrate my dark side to help me heal and transform spiritually. So this led me to a whole nother way of seeing spirituality versus transformation, if that makes sense, because my grandmother was always very spiritual, but when it came to dealing with that shadow side, she hadn't recognized that yet. And so as I would start, she would say, oh no, put that book, don't do this, don't do that. But a part of her fear frequency stemmed from one of her daughters actually was into meditation, but her daughter was she was into drugs and addictions with that. And she ended up having one of her chakras blown open, but never, and it stayed open. The chakra was blown open, which was her sixth, and it was her sixth and seventh chakras that were blown and never, it was just a blown process instead of a gradual opening process, which if anybody knows, if you have your chakras blown in that manner without the actual steps and the processes that we all need for ascension and transformation, she actually was stuck in all the realms at once without any foundations. So of course she became what people would call crazy, schizophrenic and bipolar, because she's traveling through all these different dimensions all at once and didn't know anything about them. So that was part of, my grandmother didn't get past that fear. And so when I started to enter into what my auntie was entering into in the different studies at that time, it put her in a fearful state. But when she saw I was sane and I was actually graduate, she would always tell me, take your time, take your time. So that's what I did. And you'll notice now I'll tell a lot of people when I'm talking with y'all, teaching classes, it's always a process that I tell people to go through, because, people do, can get a little cuckoo doing this if you're doing the work, But so it really, for my grandma, for my mom's patience and her allowing me to be the type of child I was, and my grandmother saying, sharing with us whatever she was learning, it was a powerful and beautiful time for me. I didn't know it till later, but boy, do I know it now,
No, that's really good,
beautiful.
Khadijah, because we was just talking about this yesterday with the Patreon family. We was saying that these emotions and your chakras do have an impact on your mental health, right? And so but it starts with the emotions, and these emotions, right? Doing the chakra work and actually balancing this thing out can, make you can sway your mind in a certain way if you're not uh uh responsible for doing the work, is actually starting and doing the work. Because a lot of times the problem is, people are stuck in their ways. They think that their emotion that they're riding with is right. You know what I'm saying? Like they supposed to be in this low vibrational state forever. Like, no, man, you can pick yourself up. You can rise above that and, move in accordance to the flow that you're claiming to be. But yeah, go ahead, babe.
Yeah, so Khadijah, thank you for sharing that. That is so beautiful. And I love, as you were speaking, I was like, oh, you and Panic had similar experiences to where y'all had guardians or parents really already integrating that meditation within y'all as kids. And so it makes sense how you all would connect on this spiritual path and kind of be in the same vibration and alignment. That's awesome. I got a question. Go ahead, Khadijah, because you sound like you
Oh
was going
no,
to add
go
on
ahead
to
with your
that.
question, because I'm gonna go into that. So go ahead with your question. Let's do that.
Yeah, we loved your chakra healing class.
Oh
Will
my
you tell
God.
the family a common misconception or a misunderstanding that people have of chakras? I'm sure in your classes, a lot of people have asked questions and all of that, to where you have been able to say, a lot of people really have the understanding of chakras confused. What is something that people don't really understand about the chakras?
One of the biggest things people will say, if you say, hey, what is a chakra? Because one of the questions, a few of the questions I'll ask is, what is a chakra? How do you use your chakras? What are your chakras for? Y'all remember that, right? So one of the biggest things is people will know about chakras, and that's usually the first place I will guide people. I had a young lady that came over the other day. My daughter-in-law was doing hair, and so she saw everything around. She saw our statues and saw our house. So of course, people ask questions. And so I tell people that, are just new and beginning to tap into their spirituality, or get past, or have questions about the religion that they're in, or a cultural type tradition they're in. The first thing I'll say is deal with your chakra work, because the chakras is your spiritual body. And that is where all the emotions are. A lot of people will say what the chakras are. Usually what I want to hear when I ask the question, what are chakras, is that it is a gateway between the physical world and the spiritual world. And what it does is, once you connect with that spiritual body, and let's say you have your dreams, dreaming is connecting beautifully with the spiritual body, and the spiritual body connects with the soul body. So what happens is, when people are dreaming and the spirit is doing the spiritual work that it's supposed to do here, and feeds all that information to the soul, and the soul funnels back to the spirit, and the spirit feeds back in the chakras, The problem is that it's that shadow side, that emotional, those traumas that we have dealt with or have not dealt with, we've experienced, but yet have not dealt with. So when people are doing chakra work, kundalini work, meditations, what's happening is that a lot of times what's ascending is what is still being held in the 3 lower cells. All the experience of this earth's plane, not to mention what we have dealt with on other lifetimes. And that's another thing I want to hear people say. They're using their chakras, because your chakras, for those that don't know, you're literally taking these chakras and your etheric body and your subconscious through every single lifetime. So this is why we have to look past many, many things that we see that may be a current problem in the life. So let's say, for example, a person that could be extremely obese, a very big obese person. And this obese person, they always want to try to lose weight. They want to go to the gym. They try to go to the gym. They want to take this diet pill. They want to do this type of detoxification. They want to take these herbs, and they're finding that they may have a little results, some results from these things, but the root cause of why this person is obese has not been dealt with. And of course, that information is sitting deeply in the chakra system. And so you can say, if we say that, okay, it's the eating habits, it's the drinking habits, it's everything that they're doing, or the laziness, we can call it that, of course, because that's a big part. But one of the many of the things I see in the records is it goes to a deeper rooting. And that root would be from another lifetime where this person had starvation. So this person, is still making sure they eat, and making sure that they keep the food within their system. So it could be, and we could go to even more aspects, it could be where a person was poisoned, or they never had great food. I'll say that the food that they had wasn't great. So this lifetime is really great. So they can't get enough of that. So it could be many aspects, and not just this aspect. So this is why it's very important for us, family. When someone is going through something, it's important to look beyond just a current situation that you may see, a physical situation that you may see. And this is why Akashic studies are so important. Spiritual chakra work is so important. But what's happening is a lot of people are raising their emotional structures, so they're raising their shame, they're raising their guilt, they're raising their angers, they're raising their apathies, their griefs, they're raising their fears big time. A lot of people are raising their fears more than they know. So instead of our true transformation taking place, we're having spiritual experiences because we are melanated beings. There's no way we could not have spiritual experiences because we are spiritual beings. We come from spirit. So of course we are going to have these experiences, but when true health, true transformation, true ascension is what's hard for a lot of people to come by, because they are not being able to deal with those emotional structures that are in the chakra system, where within that chakra system is the best learning tools ever, but we're supposed to feel and allow the experiences to feel and see it through. We stop it, shut it down, constrict it, and say, forget it. I ain't feeling nothing. Mm-hmm. So since we don't want to feel anything, we're not revisiting anything. So we're on a perpetual, what I like to call hamster's wheel, or perpetual past event that we keep recurring. And no matter what is happening in this current life, we are still in a perpetual spin of what happened that we did not learn from, and that we are not really conscious of. It's a perpetual swing. So when these things happen, we stay in that perpetual spin, or that vacuum, which is what this world is designed for us to be in, a perpetual vacuum. So that makes it a hard process for us as well. But being in that perpetual vacuum makes it also hard for people to get new information that is from them, whether it's in this physical world or whether it's in the spiritual world as well. So a lot of people, when they are dreaming, when they're trying to channel other spirits. They're not getting the full, can I say, download or full information in its totality. And if people have a fear that they never dealt with, whether it's in this current life, we could say fear from religions, fear from physical abuse, whatever fear people are holding, when there's a transmission or a message, a channel from a higher being, another deity or an ancestor, even when the message comes through, it gets distorted. Because instead of seeing that message, like the clown, I think a lot of people have heard my clown, when I shared the clown story. And, I may share it again, to really get the point across. The clown story. So I'm one of those people, I'm not afraid of clowns, but you have a lot of people that are. My sister, she'll see one and she will run, and she's a grown woman now, still run from clowns. I think they are crazy looking and pedophile looking, Right. So that may be where the fear comes. And probably if you do research on that, it wouldn't be so far-fetched, Now, I love horror movies. A lot of people that know me, I love horror movies. And I fell asleep watching the movie 1408. And so I usually don't like to fall asleep on horror films, especially depending on what time, but 1408, not too bad. So I fell asleep. And while being through the process of waking and what is that called? Hypnagogic or hypnopompic when you're waking. I was in the process of hypnopompic where I was still in the dreaming realm, but slowly gradually coming into this realm. And I could feel my wrist being held. My wrists were being held. And so now I couldn't get free no matter what I was doing. So as I was trying to return back into my body, I'm feeling like there's something stagnant is in its place. And that's where I was feeling it. Okay. So when I started to get upset, I said, okay, show me who and what you are. And I saw a clown face for about 5 or 6 seconds. And I started to laugh, and I'm like, and so I got up and I told the spirit, you need to go. And it's still, that energy is still strong in it. It wouldn't go. So I took one of the shamans that taught me how to open portals. And this teaching was from the spirit realm, not from one of the shamans, because I do deal with shamans here on the earthly plane, but this was a particular shaman on the other side. One of my African shamans. So the clown went through that portal and I forgot all about it. Me and Panic went to the movies that night. And then, how they show premieres coming this season or coming next week. Mm-hmm. It showed clowns, for American Horror Story. It showed the clown season. So I says, okay, what is being shown to me? So I went to bed that night. And I was awakened because I had to go to the bathroom. And this clown, that same energy, was at the left side of my bed. And I said, wait a minute, you got the wrong one. So I went to the bathroom, and before I went to the bathroom, I said, you have to go, leave this place. Now I did my little things that I do. And usually that works, no problem. I never have any problems with spirits, messing with me. If you want a spirit to go, usually they do, Mm-hmm. Come back, the spirit's still there. But this time, the spirit is not trying to embrace and show energy. The spirit was of adulation, respect. It gave me a symbol. It gave me a name. And I use it now with my older son for protection. Now, the reason why I share that story, because I started out saying that when we do get messages from the other side, we usually bring more fear than we do the total message. The message gets distorted and there's a lot of fear. So now if I was fearful of that clown energy, so I can make sure people understand what I'm saying, that was just energy I'm talking about. But I connected with an energy, a fear energy that was on the planet at that time, which there was a lot of, I don't know what state it is. Maybe y'all remember the state where the clowns were standing and scaring folks. So that was a big fear on the planet at that time. So I was studying fear, and it was showing me another process of fear. And so now if I had not gotten over the process that I had learned on another deeper aspect, was that the fear that we have, if I would have been fearful, I would have never been able to use that fear was sended to be, what do we call, transformed, if you will, and now used as a form of protection. So I know how to take that fear base and turn it more into a love base. You see, now that love, that particular fear energy turned into a love energy that now protects and provides for my son. Okay. So these are the things that, and there's always constant shooting of fear. Always. Every time you turn around, it's always something is being shot into or trying to be shot into the auric field, penetrated into the auric field, penetrated into the chakra system, but making sure that to play certain things back in the mind, program the mind full of fear. So people, if we're not aware of that, we will have distorted transmissions from the other side. And I see that often. People will have miraculous dreams of messages that were sent to them, something that they need to remember. And they'll put such fear to it because they still have a lot of fear within them. So this is why chakra work is so important, because we have to deal with that shadow side, that dark side, that emotional traumas that we all have dealt with, no matter how severe or how small. We all have them, we all carry them, and we have carried them for numerous amounts of centuries, decades, eons. This is not something that is a new discovery. This has been happening for multiple lifetimes. And I hope that I'm making sense here, and I hope I answered your question, D-Ray.
No, that makes a lot of sense, Khadijah, and that was very powerful how you put everything in alignment, because at the end of the day, they are pushing stuff into our subconscious mind that we can deem as fearful, but then on the other side, it might be a message that we need to understand so we can
be always. Don't ever miss a beat, fam. Don't ever miss a beat, because when we start to see that we are taking all our karma to dharma, meaning that every life experience that we have played out, that we have acted out, because now a lot of times folks is acting out there by the way of ego. But whatever we are playing out, acting out, which leads to karma, we have to deal with it, learn from it, which leads to dharma. And so we can keep moving forward. So instead of being constricted by not wanting to feel the guilt that someone made us feel, or something that we've done to make ourselves feel that way, we now will deal with it. And there's many forms in dealing with it. People, I know when I was left in one of my exes, beautiful brother, but we just couldn't make it happen. And I remember I started to create, I had a lot of anxiety. I was like, oh my God, what is going on? My ears was burning, my head was hot, I was anxious, I couldn't sit. And I said, is this the thing people call anxieties? And and what happened is my root chakra was way out of distortion. I think if I had to give y'all a percentile from, of course, 100% being in total at my core, balancing core of my root chakra area, I would say it was completely out of my body, about 80%. And so it wasn't aligned. It was way out. So any ascensions, any kundalini, anything I was doing, any work I was doing is what caused the anxieties, not just because the process of my root chakra being distorted by the way of being evicted constantly, lights being turned off, the home structure, the foundation security had been out of whack for 2.5 years. So of course, there's going to be several imprints in your system of that. And so if you're not getting the understanding of, okay, why am I having to leave this home, now this home, and seeing it just on a physical plight, well, my mate ain't doing what he's supposed to be doing, he's not doing the agreement, so we're arguing and fighting and not seeing the spiritual significance of it, which basically was, each time I had to go through a different ascension, I had to learn how to root myself for the next transformation, transformation, which was told to me, like I just shared with y'all, many years before, but I had forgotten. So I had to root myself, because what we do too, family, and I know we all love to do this, we want to escape this world. And by the way of however we're doing it, meditations, drugs, addictions, sex, whatever we are doing to escape, what happens is that a lot of times our spirit doesn't come fully back. This is when we can't focus, and we're completely vibrating in our higher selves, fifth and up. And so the first, the second, third, fourth are depleted because we're trying to learn all this science, get out, astral travel, astral project. We're trying to get all this information, and we don't want to deal with the day-to-day reality. And we're spiritual beings. Why would we want to? But we have to also remember, we also chose to have this human experience. So we must, I see all the time when I'm doing readings, there's an energy, a lot of energy, a lot of higher energy, more energy toward the higher regions of the head and the throat chakra. And the heart, of course, there's a lot of blockages there. And then the first, second, and third cells, the earthly cells, very limited light, very limited energy, because at this time, we want to deal with our spirituality. However, y'all, everything is balanced. If we're dealing with spirit, there's a swinging, revolving door. We can't just do one thing and not the other. We're still humans on this planet. So every time I would do a type of ritual, a type of spell, whatever I was doing for transformation, I wanted to stay high. I wanted to stay in the clouds. Forget this job. Forget this. Forget what this. I got to do this. I got to make sure to take care of this before I go home. Nah, I ain't gonna do it. Leave it for somebody else to do. So you start to cause havoc on your physical life, which will definitely cause havoc and stresses for you to obtain spiritual work to truly be done. And this is another factor we got to do, y'all. Y'all are going into your jobs and y'all are taking and letting people know you're spiritual. So you may have crystals on your desk. You may have all these different pictures and different quotes and sayings. And you need to have your work is your work, deal with your 3 earthly seals, and your spirituality is your spirituality. I would highly recommend, do not have, listening to Bobby Hemmett or Brother Aleem or my old man Panic or myself or anyone that's doing this work, listening to that at work. Leave that in your private space time, because you can't focus it where you're at. So the lesson, you're not learning the lesson in the physical realm of what needs to be learned as to why you're at this physical job, why you're dealing with all these different physical people. Everything is a learning adventure. And if you're not learning it, you're going to repeat it again, just in another setting. Same faces, same energy, because you haven't learned. This is why we get the same man, the same women, the same type jobs, and the same type of people in the same type jobs, because all of this has to be done a full package. We talk about being holistic, but then we are not operating as holistic beings. So this is a very important factor. I'll see a lot too with the chakra systems, where the heart frequency and the earthly cells are very depleted of their energy because the reasons of wanting to escape and get into our spirituality again, and because of the dark side traumas that we have not dealt with yet.
Wow. Yeah. That's wow.
That's yeah, that's a wow for everybody, right?
Beautiful, Khadijah. Look, let's do this. Put a 1 in the chat if you took Khadijah's chakra class. Put a 1 in the chat if you took Khadijah's chakra class, because Khadijah, what you just said was powerful and amazing. And one thing I always go back to whenever I go back to your class is I go to that guided meditation that you give to that you did.
Chakra spinning, yeah.
Yes, and I need, oh my gosh, I need you to have a downloadable version for that, because
I do have it. I'll send it to you.
Oh, okay, you do. I have a thing, but man, I'm telling you, that is something very powerful.
And you brought a good point up, because y'all were one of the earlier ones. I didn't have it recorded. Now, when I do my classes, I have all these meditations done and recorded for people. So the only class my Akashic class doesn't have the meditations, but my Akashic workshop will have the past life regressions. But for my chakra spinning class and my chakra spinning workshop, I have the chakra spinning and I guide people through the actual spinning. And for my dream class, I have the activation meditations and for them to be able to connect. So yeah, I now have the recordings of that. So yeah, just shoot me an email, Dream, and I'll be happy to send that over. Yeah, definitely. And for those that want to know what we're talking about with that chakra spinning, When I got into this work, as well as anybody that's been doing this work for, over 20 years, we remember chakra spinning as if to give a visual, just a ball of light, energy in the spine region. And you would take that ball and treat it as a ball, and you would try to spin it either on the left side, or the right side. And if you were to look in a mirror, you would see that, say, if you were spinning, you're looking in the mirror and you're spinning clockwise in the mirror, you're actually spinning it within you counterclockwise. So that was more of a horizontal type spinning. And I call it that because that type spinning creates a funnel. Stuart Swidlow talked about this. It creates a funnel in your auric field. And that funnel starts to, depending on how strong and the conditioning of your auric field, it will cause that field to weaken, and it'll start to have more human contact, and the human contact that you don't want because you're more weakened. So if there's someone that has their agenda to tear you down, to be very not loving, very just a very person that's out to get you type person. And or even if they're not out to get you, that's not the agenda. Whatever's going on, you start to take in and you start to digest, because now you have holes in the field. And of course, there's more to that. We can only create holes. Holes can, let me be clear when I say this too. The field can only be damaged if the thought process in yourself has created it, first and foremost. So if you're doing chakra spinning, that's why I said the condition of your auric field, it can definitely cause a very weakened field and easy accessible. So those that try to do magic on you, or those that are just trying to control you, trying to program you. And that's what this was for, because we seem to think that, that religions have been touched, traditions and cultures have been touched, so have chakras. This world has touched everything. So the chakras, when they tell you, when we were taught to spin that way, it gave more human to human access and easier to program us. So now the way I teach the chakras is through banding, and you're getting the energy coming from the heavenly realms, going down through the crown chakra down into the rest of the chakra system, and then also taking the earth's energy, the solar energy, and bringing it up the spinal column. So what happens is, when you're doing the spinning, we start at the bottom on up, but still, as you're spinning, going from the bottom on up, you're still pulling in cosmic energy. So you're becoming more of a cosmic, galactic, transcending being than you are a weakened, programmed, mind controlled being, if that makes sense. Okay. So we always have to see this as a spiritual war. And that we are always, I have my African shaman was showing me another meditation, and how to, when you have thought forms attached, or you have, because a lot of hexes that people talk about, y'all know I talked about that in my class as well. Is mainly a lot of thought forms. When you're in the astral realms, you'll see those thought forms, and they're not pretty, So it teaches you how to constantly just clean the field by the way of tapping into your light body, instead of having to, let's say you can't get into a tub, or you don't have a tub. And a lot of brothers, they don't like taking baths. So giving you a bath recipe, they're not like that. They don't care for it too much. Women, I find, like to do more spiritual baths than men do. But let's say if you don't, there's some people that don't have baths, they just have showers. Either way, I always tell people to operate as if you have nothing, but yet you have everything. Because anytime I'm shown anything by any of my guides, protectors, whatever spirit or deities I'm dealing with, I'm never shown anything to pick up physically. I'm always shown to work on my light body. So that chakra spinning, when the ancestors came to me and showed me, they kept telling me and showing me when I had the breakthrough on how to spin the chakras, how to connect with your light body, your light's intelligence, your light's of consciousness, because you have everything all the information that you are seeking and looking for externally outside yourself, family, is really, you're looking for your internal self. But then again, the problem lies is that we're so constricted, our light body is conflicted, our light body is smuggled, our light body is starting to be darkened by the traumas of the experiences that we're not learning from. So once we start the chakra spinning, the key to it is you able to tap into, first of all, it's a mind, body, spirit connection. And once you start to read your own light body, okay, I'm a reader, so I read people's light body, teach people how to do it themselves. You start, so people say, oh, I don't see the light, I don't see the color, I don't see. Well, it takes time. And sometimes you may not see the light, the actual light in specific regions of your body. But then what starts to happen is the more and more you do it, like anything else, you start to trust in it. See, a lot of times people don't trust in their spiritual work, or they want confirmation from the work they did, or they want to know if they did it right or they did it wrong. It takes you completely, all that is thinking. And it's all the ego. It takes you completely out of your spiritual connection. So the key is just to connect with your light bodies, and your light bodies will tell you exactly what it is that you need to do. So we're either going to listen to it, we're either going to listen and ignore it, or we're going to listen and take action to it. Because that's the situation too. You can listen, hear it, and ignore it. And I'm one of those that are guilty of that when it comes to physical stuff. And or you can listen and you can do it. But all your light intelligence, it's just teaching people how to connect back to their light intelligence by the way of chakra spinning. And it's a beautiful practice. You know, you can feel the work that you do after you do it. You can feel it, you know. So yeah, people love it. People love the practice. I get emails constantly about, you know, people love to share their experiences, and also just saying thank you, you know, because their work, it starts to make you a more magnetic person, because you're really finding solutions and opening yourself up. But also with that note, family, every single transformation, y'all know I say this all the time. If this was easy, everybody would be doing it. Transformation is not easy. It's a very tough and trying process. But guess what? You can do it. You can do it. Okay. You just have to let it go, surrender to it, and just be able to do it. Because what happens is, like, when people take an ithagen or an excellent meditation they did by the way of a deep breath work, usually I focus on just the light work first and breath work later. Because my big thing is not only helping the third eye open, the sixth chakra, because visualization and focus is a beautiful practice for opening up the third eye. But to really have people listen to see if they can hear or get the visions from their light body, what their light body is telling them. And then later on, I bring different breathing exercises. But when I go through massive healing, I do massive type breath working. So what you'll find is, like, if you're doing an ithagen or a certain type of a very deep, intense meditation, that body is expanding, it's relaxing. And so all those thought forms and all those distortions that are living in the body, now that light is coming in to give you the next direction. But what happens is we don't want to feel it, because you start feeling whatever guilt you're not dealing with, the shame you're not dealing with, the bamboozlement, anything you've dealt with or didn't deal with, is now coming to the surface to deal with. And people start to try to shut it down. So all your light that's trying to expand again, your core light, it's then hidden again, because people don't want to feel. So feeling is a big process of all this, family. And that's not happening, there's no true transformation. We're only building intelligence, which there's no problem with building intelligence, but that's only the first part of all of this. There's other parts to this as well. And that part, to really dig into the feeling of things, is very, very important. Because if we don't, we're just going to stay dealing with human struggles and human survivals more than we are our true ascension and back to the spirit, which leads us back to the soul, you know?
Yeah. That's perfect. And everything you said was on point, Khadijah, because, man, when I took your class, you know, I really had to come in to a space of vulnerability and really, you know, surrender and start really getting into the work, because a lot of times it's about really, you know, making these moves and actually starting and everything. I remember when you gave me my reading that first time, you said, yeah, you got to take these spiritual baths. And, you know, I'm a guy, just like you said, spiritual bath. Okay, my big ass, I'm 6'4". All right, shit.
Yeah.
But I'm telling you, them spiritual baths were really good because, you know, I had made the whole room dark, the whole bathroom dark. You know, I would close out even the little light but underneath the door, I would close that out and just go into my zone with the spiritual bath recipe that you gave me. And man, I'm telling you, transformation after, you know, just learning and understanding myself more and just building in that darkness was really, really powerful for me. And yeah, another thing you said, Panic was talking about that in his last video, trusting what comes to you, trusting what comes out of you is such a very, very powerful thing that we have to all encapsulate right now, because you know that's it. If you trust what you got going on and what's coming out of you, then hey, you don't need nobody's reassurance and, you know what I'm saying, validation. Is
Who
this
can
right?
tell you if your spirit body, your light body is right or wrong? You
Right.
know? And you know, we're in a world of dualism, so we know that. So in a world of dualism creates a dualistic mind. So this is why we have to title these things, and when we say occult, we get out of duality and get into the true meaning of understanding and the true holicity of all of this, you know. And so this is why, well, you know, when people ask me, well, what do you do? There's a lady that came by and she was like looking at everything and she's scared because she's Christian. And she's like, are you Christian? I says, no. She's and looking at me like, and I said, well, I'm either all religions or none, you know. And so she's looking at me like, I was like, put it this way, before slavery, I went back to before slavery, before all slavery happened. That's what I'm back to. Because me and Panic have a case where it has sections, like it has the American Indians, it'll have the fairy kingdoms, it'll have the Hindu, so it has many different sects, and it's all on a case, like it's a climbing case. And so everybody looks at it from bottom to top, and the top has a lot of the occult artifacts. So when they see the Baphomet statue, or they start freaking out because they're told that Satan and all, you know, all that crazy stuff. But it's really just a lot of symbolism that, you know, a lot of people have yet to understand. And a lot of that symbolism is always packaged with, well, if you have fear in you, it's just going to be, you're going to see what it is. You're triggered in fear. So it's just fearful to you. But if you start getting rid of the fear, you start asking more questions and you start getting the beauty of the symbology. So yeah, she was just tackled and what do you call it? She was just had a bundles and bundles of fear attached to her. You could see it all through her face, you know.
Yeah, people come over to our house and they see that Baphomet statue, they be like, oh,
yeah.
Even conscious folks, time.
Even conscious people would, I call them spiritual Christians. But now, to all the family that wants Khadijah's class, go to samedireadings.com. The link will be in the description. Trust me, it is a must take, because at the end of the day, the most important thing is you building upon you. Khadijah is just giving you the information and teaching you tactics that's going to help you build upon you and really understand self to the core. So it's just, I mean, it's the only thing you got to do, really, is take that class and understand what Khadijah's talking about, because she dropping right now. And man, if you really want to understand self, go do it, because man, oh my God.
That's facts. Because first of all, Khadijah, I just adore you. Like
I adore y'all too. I adore y'all.
I'm telling you, like my heart just be like, oh, you were just so necessary. Like so necessary, Khadijah.
I don't even think Khadijah be knowing when she be channeling like that. She be in a whole nother zone. I'd be
straight channel, straight tapped in. I just love it. But yeah, your Akashic Record class and helping us to be able to tap in ourselves really helped me. And that's why you're saying what you're saying, love, because you're saying when you take Khadijah class, you get work. Like you get assignments, like go and do this. And I did it, Khadijah. I basically was hearing your voice in my head, you know, peeling back the years, going. And I visited a past life. And while I was in that past life, I was able to see how it was affecting this present life. And I was able to see what the resources that were around me in that past life that I wasn't embracing then, that I could embrace now, that was going to help me to really heal, like connecting to nature, like, you know, using crystals, like truly understanding that the ancestors are always around you, that spirit guides are always around you. And so that work that you give is so beautiful. And doing that morning chakra spinning, that sets you up to be like, okay, I mean, for me, I just got this burst of energy to where I'm like, okay, let's go. I can do this, whatever it is I got to do throughout the day. But one of the most important things, Khadijah, that I learned from you is being okay with where you are in your spiritual journey.
That's right.
How I got there, Khadijah. Oh, y'all, Dream got his reading from Khadijah, and she read him for the gods, okay? She was like, you are like a brother Bobby, and Panic, you are out of this world. Khadijah, you were singing his praises, okay? But also in the same breath, you told him the work that he needed to do. And then when I came to you,
patience in that work. Yes.
Yes. And then when I came to you, you told me some work that I needed to do, right? And a part of me wanted to feel a way about that, about Dream having this awesome reading and me being told, you're great, you're awesome, you got gifts, you got purpose, you are a divine high consciousness being, but there's work that you need to do. And I literally had to take a deep breath and really step outside of this idea of having to be somewhere that I was not. And I had to embrace where I was at and do the work. And I think that is such a beautiful understanding for everybody on this spiritual path. Like, just because you see us on here talking to Khadijah and talking to all of these other people that we talk to, there's still work that needs to be done. Always.
It's a never ending. It's never ending. Yeah. The first process of the work of first connecting to the spirit body and actually realizing the dark side, that's the toughest, you know. And after that, you still have some tough ones, but it's an easier process. It's not as shocking. It's not as hard. It's not as because you feel demeaning. Everything rushes in you all at once, and that's the hard part. You know, that's the hard part. All the emotions that you have. Think about it. If you're doing, let's say you're doing a Kundalini meditation, and every type of emotion that you have not dealt with, as it's piercing through those chakras, it's all coming all at once.
Yeah.
And so I remember, D-Ray, if you were still going, I'll share that in a second. You keep going, love, if you still have.
No, I was just thinking in my mind, like, I just remember like what you're saying is so true about when you start doing this work, you will literally feel like shit. You will be like, I thought I was so spiritual.
Oh, and you get a slap in the face every time.
You get slapped in the face
every time.
But it's so good and it's so necessary.
It's a beautiful process.
It's so
I always say, no one told me I had people have heard me say this. I say it all the time. No one told me I had to go through hell to get to heaven. I had to find it out myself. That's
For
the
real.
process of this. There's always two sides to the coin. You never have just one side of it. And sometimes we get lost in thinking that that's what this is. A lot of times what I see what people do too is when they'll go into different higher frequencies, you think you stay there. No, that's not what this is about. We have to revisit every single different realm. Like, for example, I remember I was going through another purging process, and this actually had to deal with myself and with Panic and our relationship. And it was something that we kept revisiting that me and him had not gotten over yet. So it was trust. trust in my way of how I was not trusting, and trust in his way of not trusting. Not so much so not trusting each other in the relationship, but trusting issues that we have had, trusting issues we've had with others that we still brought into the actual relationship. So when we both had to duke it out and we both sat in our corners of realization. So that night when I went to sleep, I went to what I call, it's another area connected or by the purging realm. So the purging realm is like Christians like to call it the purgatory. So you're purging whatever you've learned and you're dealing with, you start the purging process. And so I was what I like to call the, what did I call it? The dump uh,
Dumping
the
ground.
dump realm, because what happened was I had this big bag and I just kept taking things out the bag, taking it out. And as I was taking it out, I was getting tired and more tired and more tired and more tired. And finally I just fell to the ground, and there's just it's just a big dumping ground everywhere. It's a horrible place, but yet a great place, at the same time. So I'm dumping. And then as I dumped the last of that bit of energy that I needed to dump out of that root energy of trust and where it all started from, I then actually woke up. And then as my higher self was teaching me exactly what had just happened, I had been there numerous amounts of times. That was just one of the most times where I was in there for a very long time, really wanting to exhaust that energy of non-trusting so it cannot affect my relationship with my old man. So even though I can tell you how many heavenly realms I have been to, oh, you better believe that you still are going to see other realms. You don't just stay in a higher frequency. You dive and deal. That's what the chakras are. They're keys. And hopefully they're keys of activation for another frequency, to this frequency, to that frequency. And with every chakra, there's sub chakras or sub levels to that chakra. So if those keys have not been dealt with and have not been open, you don't have access to these other realms. I'm actually, and I'm really excited about my dream class. I already started it. I have a map that I've created called Stages at Death. And it talks about what realm, whatever emotion that you're not dealing with. And when you deal with it, you go to the next realm. But it talks about the astral body, the different bodies, and where you're at and where you go at this process. And then it deals with the reincarnation process as well. So I have the map in my dream class, but I have a bigger map that Panic loves that, I share with him as I'm working on it. That connects with my Akashic show charts, which I'm glad that I'm meeting with y'all today, because y'all the first platform where I'm actually gonna introduce my new product, which is the Akashic soul charts. And I'm now at a new phase of reading, family. a new phase of reading. And what these Akashic soul charts do is, well, here's the reason why I did it. There comes, I know I could say this, I'm just going to say, because I'm putting this together for my website. So I'm just going to share with y'all, if y'all don't mind, my, what I'm about to give my next phase in this reading process. But the Akashic soul charts, what it is what I have found, there comes a time in all of our lives where we want to know more. So we'll read, we'll study, we'll build a small library, we'll listen to lectures, seek out others for guidance and direction, whether it's through different sects, through different cultures, through different religions. We'll practice numerology, we'll practice, even have numerology charts done. We'll practice astrology, have a natal charts done. We'll go to tarot card readers or oracle readers, such like myself. And these options and offerings are all great, and they are needed to help develop our minds, of course, and hopefully, our heart and our spirit. But what we cannot deny in all these searchings and findings is it still seems that we need more. I know that's what I kept feeling in the process when I was going on my beginning search, I'll say. So then the question would then be, why wouldn't it be enough? So we reach a point where we really want to know more about our purpose and our soul's purpose. So that soul's purpose, of course, cannot be found in books. It cannot be found in any lectures. It cannot be found in different type of sects of religions or cultures that really, like I was saying earlier, that focus a lot on duality. It now can, however, be rediscovered through, our Akashic records. And so our Akashic records, they perform, information about, our soul's journey. That's what this is about, our soul's journey. So in all the Akashic readings I've done, your soul's journey has many, which my old man would like to title it avatars, or you'll hear people call it the temporary identities that we, our characters or archetypes that we deal with. And it holds masses of memory. What is great is that we have all the information within us, like we were talking about earlier. The question then becomes, why hasn't it surfaced? Which again, why can't we connect to our own Akashic records? So who or what is in the way? I know that was always the question for me, who or what, why can't I connect? Why? Because, it's like that power you feel in you and trying to connect that power and being frustrated in where do I start? Where do I begin? Where, y'all know what I'm talking about, all the phases that we go through. Right. So what gets in the way is what we've been talking a lot about today, that shadow self, the dark side. So I created an Akashic soul chart. And it's just a mapping and aligning of your soul's journey. And so a rediscovering, connecting you back to your Akasha, your core. Now with this family, this is not an actual live reading. So there will be no scheduling, no rescheduling rituals, no rescheduling due to emergencies. It's actually a laminated chart that you receive of your etheric body, your chakra layers, your light body. And it has the background of my Akashic picture, my Akashic hallway, with all the information that we find during the occult reading that I do. It'll be sent to you and also recording, just depending on what option what people will choose or they will pick. But this is the new phase, and I was supposed to be doing this. I ain't gonna lie. And even when you're doing this spiritual work for a long time, people, like I said earlier, we don't listen at times. So when you don't listen, things start to tax you. And then you're forced to do something. Like if you're told, a spirit tells you got to leave this job, you don't leave it, you stay. So all kinds of things have to be done to you to probably, instead of just leaving that job, now your ass is fired from that job, So basically same concept where, you finally, you listen to what your next phase is. You don't stay in this work. As we know, we don't stay in the same phase. It should constantly be changing and growing and progressing. And so this is the next phase of the Akashic readings, is through the Akashic soul charting. So
where do we buy now?
Well, I'm still building it. Me and Infinite Art, if anybody knows Infinite Art, and I just love her dearly. She is my graphic designer. So anything that I come up with, I get it and I share it with her right away, and she starts to build it for me. So I'm gonna be launching this. It won't be into the fall, family. And I will definitely make sure y'all will receive the information in the newsletter. I'm gonna actually start sending out the information about it launching soon through the newsletter. But yes, it will be accessible. And it's so much, the spiritual body is so complex, y'all, that there's actually 6 different Akashic soul charts that I had to actually break down. It's like, because how in the class, my chakra class, y'all, when I talk about the different stages of the chakra system, where you have the ancestors you're dealing with. So we're going to deal with the 3 lower seals, which is the ancestor bundle. So if people are really curious and want to know what's going on with that, any imprinting, any cord work that needs to be done, any birth or prenatal birth problems that you had during or before conception, we'll tap into that, so we get deep with it, y'all. That's another reason why I'm loving this next phase, getting even deeper. The gateway bundle, which would be the heart chakra, just dealing with nothing but the heart chakra. And the magic pack, dealing with the 3 higher seals, and then dealing with your master chakra, aka your purpose, what your true light beams, for your purpose. And then just if you want them all in one setting, it would be the Kundalini collection. So I had to break it down, y'all. I had to break it down to distinguish and compartmentalize for people to have greater understanding, you know. So it ended up creating more than just one Akashic soul chart. So yeah, I'm very excited about it. Panic just laughs and smiles at me. He's like, oh, that's you know, a phenomenal. We love to share, like he shares his meditations. I share my meditations. You know how we share our dreams. You know, you love sharing that with your mate and your friends and family, if you know, if they're on that level as well. So, and this is one of the biggest things I'm on right now. So this is all I've been talking about for the past 4 or 5 months, you know.
Oh, that's good, Khadijah. I love that, man. And I'm excited. I got to figure out how to be the first one to get it.
Well, as everybody knows, those that take my class always get the first offerings before I even give it to the world. Yeah, I always get the first offerings of new class and do anything before I give it to the rest of the world. Yeah. So the biggest thing is there's no more scheduling, no more rescheduling, no more of that. You receive this chart within 21 days. And yeah, it'll be laminated. It will have your short story of yourself, and it'll have pictures, because I know a lot of us, I like to see visual. And sometimes doing this work, when I would read about the chakra system and learn all about it, every picture, and D-Ray and Dream, y'all have heard me say this too. I'm going to tell y'all right now, any chakra book that you have ever had or ever looked at is not what your chakra system looks like. It is not. That's another reason why it's so important for the chakra spinning, because you need to connect with your light. In the beginning, it may show the prism colors or the rainbow colors, but you'll start to find more stuff and more stuff and more stuff. And you start to see, man, this stuff is, and I don't want to sound, when I say this, people don't stop doing the chakra work. What I'm about to say, I just want to orchestrate it through the processes of what you'll find, whatever you're doing in life, whether it's physical work that you're doing, spiritual work that you're doing for whatever reasons. But it's like elementary. It's like a playground that you've been seeing when you look at a lot of these books. So that's another reason why it's so important. I have people focus on connecting with that light body, listening, seeing it. And it takes time. So we have to allow it and let it. Because a lot of people say, well, Khadijah, they'll get frustrated. Khadijah, I'm not connecting and I'm not seeing. Well, that frustration is also constriction. So this is why we have to just keep in relaxation and know that whatever you did. Now, when you do the chakra spinning, no matter if you spend it a little or a lot, if you lay there, I tell people to lay there at least 20 minutes, you will feel the work that you've done, even if you haven't seen or connected to it yet. So you'll know. Sorry about that, family. So you'll know you are doing work. Just give yourself the time that it needs, because apparently there's a lot of stresses, a lot of fears. There's a lot of things still in the way of you connecting and tapping. So allow yourself the time it needs to be able to connect with your spirit body and your spirits, all your spirit's intelligence. It'll come, family. It'll come. And I was saying that a lot the last time I think we connected about just taking time and allowing. Just allow yourself to find self and let you take your time, because I know me, I was rushing. I wanted to know everything now because it's exciting. This shit's all exciting, ain't it? It's immensely exciting, so you wanted everything now, and then you're angry because you're realizing, oh my God, all this time I've been bamboozled. I can't believe this. And so you're going through so much emotions anyways, and you just want to, you want everything to pass, and you want everything done now. But it's not that simple, it takes time. It takes time, and you're glad that it does, because the more and more you do this, you're happy that you took the time and the patience that it requires. You're happy about it later. It's very thrilling and exciting, like D-Ray was sharing with us as well.
Yeah, and that kind of reminds me of what we was talking about yesterday with the Patreon family. What Iman say, babe? She was like, what she say in that class yesterday?
About what part, babe? We had a whole conversation.
She was like, the teacher and the student, or
yeah. She was like, a lot of people on this spiritual path are always comparing themselves to other people,
Yeah,
and
that's
you
it.
know, not knowing or not realizing that we intermingle and we go in and out of this teacher student phase. You know what I mean? We're always learning, but in the same breath, we're always giving and assisting and things like that. So we got to get out of this idea that we are not where we are supposed to be, or not where we want to be, or any of those things, and embrace who we are, where we are right now. That doesn't mean not do the work, but that just means don't have this internal battle about, I should have been doing this, I wish I should have been doing this. And I
Right.
love what you said, Khadijah, because you said you had already knew that there was something that you were supposed to be doing, but you were engaging with other things and things became a little taxing. But
Oh, yeah.
something that Miss Blue told me that is so spiritual, and I love for you to expound on it, is that she says things will always come back around 3 times.
Mm-hmm.
She said
Mm-hmm.
it's always going to come back around. If you miss something in this one moment, you know, this one time in your life, at some point in time, it's going to come back around. It's going to come back around again. So it's like Spirit is always giving us an opportunity to live up to the purpose, to live up to the assignment that we have, you know, agreed to do before we even incarnated. But we have to get in we have to be prepared,
Yeah, getting
right? We
Yeah.
have to meet the assignment, meet the purpose, meet the energy
Mm.
whenever it comes.
Mm-hmm.
I'm
Yeah.
excited
What
about
I
that
have,
assignment too, Khadijah. Just let me tell you, that's a new that journey you about to embark on. Oh
Mhm.
boy. See, I thought you was slowing down, Khadijah, but you speeding up. Oh my
Mhm.
God.
And
I'm
in a different way, though, and in a different
yeah,
way to where her energy is not so
Right.
taxed, because talking to
yeah.
these people and being all up in their fields, that
It's a
is a
lot.
lot of energy.
It's a lot.
So
Yeah.
now she gets to take her time and work through it and
Right.
see it and cultivate it,
Yes.
give it to them, you know, without necessarily having to talk to them on the phone or be on Zoom. They have an outline. And I think, Khadijah, it gives them an opportunity to read something about themselves and
Right. They have a
figure out what they're
physical,
reading.
right. They have everything physically, and it'll be their guide for always.
Right.
Because these readings are such high demand, y'all, as y'all know. It's high demand, and just when you think it'll slow down, it doesn't. It gets more demanding and more demanding, more demanding. So when I listen, everything is smooth process. When I don't, it's terrible. But speaking back to what you were saying, coming in threes, in my experience, if I had to explain it, I would say that the threes coming in like the yin, learning whatever it is that you need to learn in the feminine aspect, then learning what you need to learn in the masculine aspect, and then getting the full birth of it, where people call it the child, the understanding process comes through. So you, and then from there you get deeper layers, then deeper layers, then deeper layers of those aspects. So, and you will get it in many forms and many aspects. So it's a beautiful, powerful thing, because just when you think, because you have to, usually people are getting it from the yang approach or the yang. Actually, I'd be saying that wrong, the yin and the yang. It's actually, I guess that would be the English way to pronounce it. I think the way the Chinese say it is the yang and the yang and the yin, I think is how they say it. But all those birthing processes from that, and then once that you understand it by the way of the learning of the intellect and by the way of the experience in the yang, learning of the intellect in the yang, and then the experience of it in the yin, and the expression of it and the action of it, the total understanding of it within the child, the birth of it all. And then from that, you have the several different aspects from that you keep getting deeper, deeper, and deeper and deeper understanding and meanings, because you start to travel now the many several different frequencies within that. So that is, and it's never escapes us. It's a constant, just like in my class when I share with everyone, where for example, let's say you have a lot of people that are still angry about what has been done to us. You know, you still have all these people out here talking about Black Lives Matter. So you still have people participating in that. You know, they're still a part of the program, you know, the programs that they dish out to everybody, and still a part of that crazy vacuum that I was talking about earlier, which is what this is all about. And once we get out of that program and see beyond that, So I was getting into this for a reason. Why did I get into that? What did I get into? Y'all bring me back. Bring me back. I was getting into that for a reason.
You was talking about the yin and the yang, and the mind control, or this manipulation that people are stuck in. They're stuck in, they're just stuck in this
The trauma porn, the Black Lives Matter,
yeah, it was before that. I was making a point to that. Anyway, it'll come back.
The understanding. I think
okay. Well, anyways, all that to say, if we continue to, like anything, if we are not learning from it, we're going to have to continue to keep going through it. Like I was sharing earlier, how the chakra system works, they're revolving doors. And so when people close those doors, because a lot of people want to just stay spiritual and do the work, which that's great because we're spiritual people, like I was saying earlier. However, that physical process too, we can't forget the human side has to be dealt with. One of the things that I am definitely can share with y'all, when I got into the spirituality work, I did not focus on my physical body at all. And before I got into the spiritual work, all I did was focus on the physical body, boxing, martial arts, working out all the time, had to look good, keep my 38, 24, 38, or 39 figure, keep it. Don't let nothing mess with it, And then when I got into spirituality, forget it. All I was doing was feeding my spirituality, and then just let the physical body completely go. So now I'm balancing the physical body with the spirit, the spirit now, working and doing that too, because next thing you know, you look up, you're like, oh my God, what has happened? That's how deep I was into this work, y'all. I really looked in the mirror. It wasn't even focusing on the mirror, how I looked. The only time I focused on that is we were hanging out, going out. But yeah, so everything is a balance, a two-sided coin. We can't have just one way or the other way, and not one way is better, not one way is less, not one way, right or wrong. Everything has its stepping stones, and we have to be allowed to do that. Allow ourselves to do that. Yes, indeed. I wish I could bring that back, but it was a point. It'll come back it'll
come back for sure. Let me ask you a question, Khadijah, because while we're on the topic of Mother's Day, I know there's a lot of people out there who have lost their mothers or who haven't had a relationship with their mother. We actually had, we were speaking with somebody yesterday about that mothering relationship and what they feel like should be the norm when it comes to that mothering relationship. Tell us how a person can remother themselves and really connect with the mothering energy that is within them from the male perspective and the feminine, because that mother energy is so intense and it is so programming. And if a person doesn't have that, they I feel like multiple things happen. They lack identity in a sense. Don't really feel nurtured or safe or secure or even loved. So how can a person remother themselves and really tap into that mothering energy that is within all of us?
Well, you actually said it, that identity. One of the things, and I have to share a very hard lesson I had to learn. And so I'll share the story with y'all, and then it'll get to the question you asked, Ray. When, I shared earlier when my grandmother taught us all the spirituality. So yes, we did have family that were Christians, and we did have family that were that were Catholics. And so when I had left my ex, my father's my sons, their father, I was completely, as a woman with two Black sons having to raise, I was petrified. I was scared. I was very fearful. So I was vibrating a lot of fear. So guess where I went, family? I went to the church. I went there for a good 2 years. And in that time, I did Bible study, went to Bible college. I did prison ministry for co-ed for the women and the men. So I would go to the jails on Sundays, sometimes Saturdays, and I would go in and speak with nothing with the men, and then I would speak with nothing but the women. So I got deep into the church. But when I started, I remember the pastor set me down and the first lady of the church, they set me down. First lady was so excited that I was there. My sons will be there. And her and the pastor said, our doors are always open. Whatever you need, we got you. So of course, a single woman with 2 kids heard that, right? You hear that. So I did just what they said. And the pastor had a library full of books. So I would always go and get this book, that book. So I would go in all the time and I would be talking and talking. And this is like all of us have experienced, when you start getting a little piece of knowledge and things start making sense, you are now addicted and on the hunt. And so I was on the hunt. Now, I apologize if there's kids out. I was not on the hunt for dick, but that's what it started to become. So the first lady of the church, because we're talking about the identity of woman, the goddess, the mother. So of course you look up to the first lady of the church as well as the pastor. The first lady of the church started treating me extremely weird. When I would give her a hug, she would barely touch. She would, so you could tell she was talking, when you can feel when someone's talking about something's wrong. So that went on for a few weeks. And I said, wait a minute, let me pull her to the side and ask this woman, is it something I said? Is it something I've done? Because you know how we could do things that can offend. So when I asked this first lady of the church if I've done something to offend her, she totally just completely lied and said, oh no, there's nothing. And I said, are you sure? I said, because our dynamic has changed and it seems like you don't want to be bothered or you don't want me here. I will listen to whatever you say. I won't be offended to it. I gave her plenty opportune chance to explain to me if there was a problem. She didn't. But then later I heard all the rumors. So this woman that's the first lady of the church, any person like Dream and D-Ray, you all have a dynamic where you're with a lot of people. So you're going to see different personalities, different looking type of people. And in that, there's people that are beautiful, whether it's internal, external. And if you're with a person that is intelligent too, there's a lot of power within that relationship. So, and there's a lot of responsibility. So when me and Panic first got together, there was beautiful women everywhere that wanted Panic, for whether if it was the father figure or the mate or the man. And being a woman that's dealing with a powerful man, I had to know that. So that particular day, I went home and I cried myself. I just cried because I could feel her the way she felt about me, even though she didn't speak it. So I cried, and then I stopped crying and I asked one of my ancestors, what is this? What am I feeling? What am I going through? Because the truth is not being seen. So share with me what this is. What is being missed here? And so they started to show me pictures of all the different sisters. The sister that is, when I say pictures, I started getting visions, downloaded the visions as I was channeling with the ancestors, started seeing visions of the women that were really taking care of the home, women that were cooking, women that were gold diggers, so it was basically showing me many phases of woman. But every time, the most that we ever see viewed is either the hoe or the gold digger. And so this woman in the church I was put as the whole figure, but that's not what was happening. I wasn't sleeping with her man. I didn't want her man, but that's the energy that she carried. So her energy field vibrated in a lot of envy. However, that root got there wasn't from me. It was definitely from somebody, whether she's been cheated before, or her mother was cheated before, or whatever life experience took her to her field, her auric field vibrating in envy. It then now for someone like myself, let's say if I did want her husband, let's say if that as soon as the first lady left, I'm going to grab her husband. It's her job to know and understand that is what's going to happen. You have a lot of people in the church, men usually that are in the church, they're very fearful. They're feared for their life. They're scared of responsibility. Women in the church have lost love. There's many reasons why we're sitting in these churches. And if you're seeing an intelligent man speak things you've never heard before, you're going to want that man, whether if it's a father figure or
instant attraction.
Yeah, instant attraction. That's just going to happen. Now, for her not to know that, it let me know that she didn't know who her mate was, and she damn sure she didn't know who she was. So she hadn't found her goddesshood within herself, but yet she's in a goddesshood position. She is totally operating in her shadow self. When that first lady of the church, if she ever develops and goes into herself, and then she has her own identity, and she's not chasing or praising another identity or deity. She was, of course, we know she praises Jesus. She's a lady in the Christian church, so she praises Jesus. So she can't even look at her man like she looks at Jesus. She can't even look at me like she looks at Jesus. You see what I'm saying? So since she has no identity, she is disconnected from the true feminine energy, which is her. So the whole process of this is why you'll see us start to study Maya. We'll start to study Kali. We'll start to study Yemen Ya. We'll start to study Sita, Lakshmi, we'll keep going. I could go on all these different aspects of the woman and the goddess, but that's all external. We'll start to learn that we're opening up the sleeping, like my old man say, the sleeping giants that are within us. We start to open up the true nurturing mother that's within us by all these studies. I think the last time we spoke and got together, which was last Mother's Day last year, we talked about how those aspects, instead of going external, we start to open them up within ourselves. And so we start to find the true identity of self. So there's no reason to have envy for the next person. And envy is a dangerous energy to have, because it's not just a jealousy we're talking about here. If you have a person that is jealous of you, they may be jealous of something that you have, whether it's material, relationship, whatever you have, looks, personality, and they either want it or they want to try to obtain it for themselves. But an envious person, they want to tear you down and say things bad about you, make you look bad so they can look better. So this woman of the church, she was the first lady of envy, and that's all she brought to the church. So that was my first experience of seeing a woman with all that power, and it was being so misused and so mishandled. And of course, at that time I saw it as sad, and I was angry. But then it's a part of a process that she one day will find, and she won't find it till a few more lives, actually. But that's the process that we all have to go through, men and women, and to find our own identity. And each time we come to another life, there's new identities that we have to. So this is why we cannot judge, because one lifetime you might have been the prostitute. One lifetime you might have been the nun. One lifetime you might have been, well, I don't want to go too deep with that, but I think you guys see the picture here. You have to experience everything. That's why we're not to judge anything or anyone for anything. It's, and judging is a process of non-understanding. So that just means that person hasn't understood. So when I started to understood what was going on, and the ancestors told me when I was in my room, they said, this is part of the processes of dulling the Black woman. So what I did, the answer to D-Ray's question, I told the ancestors, guide me and direct me to find my beauty, to find who I am. So I met this lady, another, she was a beautiful African lady. And she took me and my best friend at that time to the ceremony. And this ceremony, it was done with, the brother did the ceremony, but he was not there with us. It was like a recording. And you could feel there was other sisters, they were in other states, but she took all these different sisters, and we had to sit down, listen to the tape, and we started to feel the other energies of the sisters come in. That was so beautiful, y'all. So as I'm sitting there and I'm starting to feel, at first I'm like, I was kind of upset, because that's not the type of ceremony I wanted. I wanted a real ceremony. I wanted everybody there. I wanted it live. Then I said, okay. The ancestors was like, shh, shh. I kept hearing the shh, shh. So I started to listen. That recording of that brother, he started to talk about the blood of the woman. And y'all, he was speaking in a different type of African language, a different tongue. At first, I did not understand nothing he was saying. It wasn't until I got quiet and connected with that spirit, I understood everything. He was talking about the beauty of the woman, the profoundness that she exuberates, how they honor and cherish. And then as he's saying it, I'm seeing the pictures and the honoring and the cherishing of the woman, the honoring and sharing of the birth, how we bring life and yin is needed. And so that was the first time, y'all. Nowadays, that's something that everybody knows, mostly everybody that's conscious as well. We appreciate the yin, the feminine energy. At that time, I had no clue what any of that was about. So I learned the hard way and started to see another way and started to see the beauty as I was looking for that feminine energy in myself. So that's when I started to study all the different love frequencies and nurturing frequencies. So if someone is doing this for the first time, wanting to find out more about them, you need to look towards love frequencies first. So usually what me and Panic will do, and y'all probably have this book already too, D-Ray and Dream, probably even use it. There's many books out there, but one of the books me and my old man Panic give out a lot is the what is that? This Spirit Dictionary, Encyclopedia of
Spirits. Yeah.
Yes, by Judica. Encyclopedia of Spirits by Judica. And in the back of the appendix, it'll give like the love deities and a whole list of those. And then the nurturing deities, a whole list of those. So there's many books out there like that. There's the goddess books. There's, I forget, is it Barbara? There's a different goddesses book. So what you do is just get yourself acquainted with how the yin energy works, the feminine energy works. And as you're getting acquainted, you're opening up each part of those aspects that are you. You are the Oshun, you are Urzuli, you are Brigitte, you are Yeminya, you are, I mean, there's so many we can name, right? Freya, you are, there's many different and don't be, my whole thing, family, I was focused just on the Egyptians at first, Egyptian and African and Voodoo. And then I started to even expand more. I started to get into the Nourish, the Santeria, which also known as Orisha. I even got into some of the, what can we say, the Greek? I think just a little bit, but whatever attracts you, go for it. Whatever resonates with you, go for it. Don't discriminate, because your spirit, you got to see your spirit is guiding you. Once we are no longer programmed, or we're no longer under mind control, I should say, you already escaped from anything that is not for you. So now that you've escaped and your spirit is saying, look at this, do this, get this book, get that. That's the guidance of your spirit and spirits. So take it. So if you're starting to see a lot of Roman stuff, but those Romans don't look nothing like you, but for some reason you're still gravitating to it, there's something in that pantheon or in that particular study that you need to see. And what I used to do is stray from all of it, but I ended up going back around to it. Like we were just talking about, you go back around, you don't miss anything, because you don't miss anything. It's just about when the time you're ready for it. But I will say this, don't deny anything, just accept, don't discriminate, because your subconscious mind does not discriminate. So you have to operate in ways that is always beneficial to you and is for you, not something that's coming to you that's against you. We're done with that. We're past, we know about programming. So now that I'm going to say it again, now that you know about programming, you're past it now. You're past it. So everything is for you to educate you and to elevate you. There's nothing that is going to make you lose your creativity, lose your sense of mindset. There's nothing that you're losing here. Those days are done. Okay. That's another thing that I see a lot with people. They seem to think if they, even though they know the program, which is half the battle, that there's programming, they will still think that they're under attack here. Well, attack is happening. That's never gonna, that's always in this world, on this planet, that's always gonna be that. But it's not so much of an attack for you to lose yourself. It's now that you're seeing it as a challenge to connect more to self. And that's the type of mindset and type of spirit that we must carry every single day. That keeps you on a higher frequency, higher vibration. Most people know this. They can say it intellectually, they can say it beautifully, but not operate in such manners. So we have to start to truly be honest with ourselves, let the ego have its place, because that ego be messing up a lot. But all that to say, that time was very hard for me, family, because I really looked up to that woman. And it wasn't her fault. It wasn't my fault. It was part of the lesson that I have learned. And she's still doing what she's doing. Later on, I found out that that was my cousin through marriage.
Wow.
So all that to say, you know, so it wasn't, but that's what it is. They always have to put, especially those of us that are into power and really there to help others, you'll always have more. If you have light, people like to try to attack it every chance they get. The more light you obtain, the more they come. But that's the reason why you obtain more light, because you're able to battle and take off the heads of those that are in the way. And each time you battle that, you grow stronger and stronger and stronger.
Literally.
So
literally take off heads.
Yeah, stop thinking you're attacked, being attacked, people. Those days are gone for you. Your family members and church members and all that, we can't speak to that, but we can speak to your spiritual development and your plight. And those attacking days are over. It's now your challenge, the challenge, and you accept the challenge and handle that challenge and keep it moving. That's what this is about.
Yeah.
I love that. I love that, Khadijah, because that's that real energy, and that's how I'm coming with it. And I'm telling you, your clown story, Khadijah, it never gets old, because it is a reminder. It is a reminder that when you are in that dream space and these energies come, you need to be prepared. You need to be the spiritual warrior. So when you realize that these attacks are just challenges and that you always win, then you have a different perspective. But if you think I'm always being attacked, then hell yeah, you always being attacked, and you are getting the repercussions and the consequences of that. But something else that I think is important in that story that you just told about the lady is that we all have these different emotions that come up, right? And when they come up, this is the opportunity for us to realize what work we need to do. You know, but because that lady was not conscious, she wasn't able to say, hold on, I'm feeling some type of way. I'm judging this woman who I'm just now getting to know. Let me see what in me is bringing that energy up. What shadow side of me, what dark side of me, what trauma have I not dealt with that makes me feel like a beautiful woman like Khadijah is, you know, going around here taking everybody's man. You know what I mean? So that's what we have to understand on this spiritual path. When those emotions come up, that's an opportunity. Don't deny it and be like, "Ooh, why you feeling that?" Don't be feeling that. You know you ain't supposed to be feeling that. That's low vibration. No, you need to ask yourself, why am I feeling that?
Right, exactly. You got to deal with it, surrender to it, and learn from it. That is so key. It is so key. And you know how they always talk about the Holy Ghost. And I remember, you know, with that for those that the Holy Ghost, y'all, when you go through that, you literally, what I found it and learned what it was, you're literally, all your chakras are opening and you have all this ecstatic energy, because whatever we're hearing, the organ, the piano playing, you're going, you're, and I didn't know why, I was out of control. What they call it, the Holy Ghost, but you're really surrendering yourself and really, but you're surrendering to a white attractive God, though, a attractive God with blue eyes and blonde hair, you know. So that's the thing. And it wasn't until I started seeing when the spirit would come, what they call the Holy Ghost, but it looked like partial, what can I call it? It was a winged energy. It was like a big winged bat that would mount on people. And so now here's the funny thing, y'all. When it happened to me is when I started to question it, because I didn't see the wing back yet. I didn't see it yet. I was in there and all of a sudden I flew back. I mean, y'all, I literally flew back and I started punching. I'm punching and I'm punching. And then, so I started asking the question, like D. Ray was just saying, you start to connect and say, okay, this is the Holy Ghost, the Holy Spirit I'm supposed to be obtaining. So why am I punching the air, fighting? I was literally, everybody's looking at me too, y'all. I'm sitting there punching the air and I'm exhausted. And next thing I know, I stood up and I said, why was I punching the Holy Ghost? So of course the fear started to kick in. And then the fear was, oh, Satan's trying to make me think that the Holy Ghost is for me, and Satan. So Satan is Satan's fault, Satan's problem. But the probably a couple of weeks after that, we had this big celebration, and there was a choir. I used to sing in the choir and praise and worship. And I would close my eyes and I started seeing that big winged bat. That's the best way I can describe it. Mount everybody. It was mounting everybody. And it was taking the energy. And then I was like, oh my goodness, now I know it's time for me to leave. Wow. So it's an energy of course, we know it's an energy that will never find self, because these establishments were created to have rules and regulations so that you never find you. Even the beautiful African cultures, even the certain traditions, different religions, all of it was developed for you not to find self, because anything that has rules, anything that has regulations, you'll never find yourself in that, never. So that's what this is all about, you know. So again, we're in a dual world. So you be dual minded. So you can never, you'll always get your transmissions, your anything that you're discovering and learning about yourself will always be distorted, because fear is your big main that resides in your auric field, you know. So we can go on and on about that. But yeah, I seen that. And it, you know, at that time I was starting to get not afraid, but I would open my eyes and I would see it mount, and then I would see everybody start falling. And I was just like, wow. And I couldn't share it with nobody in there, because already people were looking at me crazy because the first lady was talking bad about me. So I couldn't share it with anybody, you know. But
I had a similar experience to that, Khadijah, to where, and this is the powerful thing about being able to like see through the veil. Right. Everybody is probably not going to be able to see with physical eyes, but me, I was able to feel that energy. Right. In church. People are catching the Holy Ghost, they singing, they're doing all of these things. And I just felt this energy that felt low vibrational, just kind of hovering over the space, hovering over the church. And it just felt so vampiric. You could just feel the energy just pulling. And this was at one of these massive Black churches in Houston that so many people go to. And Khadijah, I had this experience before I was even deep into the spirituality. I had no clue about what I was about to walk into. And when I had that experience at the time, I was a quote unquote believer. And then I was like, what? Why is it feeling like this? It wasn't feeling like how I had known it to feel years prior.
Right.
And then I get with Dream, and we watched this Zeitgeist video together, and they start, you know, having all of these videos, and I'm just like, oh, that's what I was feeling. So that energy, that vampiric energy in the church is a real one that I got to experience.
That clairsentience in you was springs forth a lot. That I actually, when I saw what that energy looked like, I was like, boy, oh boy.
It's deep.
It's time to go. But all that to say, you know, just speaking of that lady, that if I wouldn't have had shown my emotions of any anger or disappointment or, you know, whatever type energy, ill feeling that I would have had, I couldn't see past seeing hers. What I've noticed now in this work is when I'm not emotional in it, I can see beyond. I can see beyond of because you know how you're usually when people are having a disagreement or fighting or they're upset about something, it is never really about the current situation. It's usually about something that happened 10 years ago, 20 years ago, 30 years ago, or past another lifetime. So when you're not emotionally involved and in that fear frequency, you can see beyond it. And so this is why I tell people all the time, when you stop getting upset with your family members because they don't want to hear anything conscious, like stop getting upset or worried or fearful that they're in the churches and they are and they're still believing in all these different type of gods. Don't worry about that. Everyone has their time of growth periods. So let them have their time. Just like you had your time, they will have theirs as well. Because they can't, when you stay stuck in that frequency, you cannot see beyond it. And this is so then the question would be, why do all of this work if you're still getting upset? You're still fighting with the same everyday people, average people that aren't doing the study, that aren't doing any practices, that aren't doing any transforming. So who's really the ass here? The ass would have to be us, if we're doing all this work, but yet still getting caught up in average human being bullshit. I had a hard look at that myself as well. I was like, oh wow, this is that was another slap in the face for me as well, because here I am on a subway bus in Atlanta arguing with all these people, and then when I get off, I'm wanting ready to punch somebody, ready to knock somebody out, energy high strung. And I said, I got into this for peace. Why am I feeling like this? And I had to look at myself and say, oh, I'm operated in my ego. I'm just wanting to be right.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah.
Gotta let it go.
Yeah.
Gotta let it go.
Gotta let it go. But anyways, we got into that whole chat. I wasn't even trying to go to church today, y'all, but
Sunday service.
Yeah, but that was one of the first encounters of seeing what the yin spirit that's not manifesting and the beauty of it. That was the first time I had to deal with that type of situation. Well, I've dealt with many situations with women, but that was the first to see a woman that was supposed to be spiritual, loving, and that was not the case. So it's like, wow. So I was going through what is it, the Sankofa experience. And that was also, I watched that movie, the Sankofa, around that whole time, trying to identify and find myself, and trying to just learn about, seek who I was, But yeah, that study takes time, and it takes a lot of patience, that yin energy is a lot of patience.
Let me ask you this, Khadijah, because you drop in and it's really good. And listen, family, go take Khadijah's chakra spinning class and her Akashic Records class, because all of them are genius and powerful, and she will really give you the work to do. SomniReadings.com. The links will be in the description. But and we don't want to burn your time, because we know it's Mother's Day, Khadijah. But let me ask you this last question. They say what they say. In order for you to understand where you're going to go, you have to know where you've been. So can you expound on like these past lifetimes that we have, and especially with you, the ones that come up for you in certain different people's situations? How does these lifetimes build on our growth, or where we're supposed to go in these next phases of spirit?
Excellent question. Well, I like to call it streamlining. And so when I go into my own past lives, not when I'm reading someone else's, when I'm reading into mine, of course, I'm looking to get a deeper meaning of the root meaning. And it's really important for the root, just like anything. If you have a beautiful garden out and there's weeds, how they say it, you pull the weed, you have to pull the weed from its root. And same thing with emotion. You got to pull that emotion from its root, where it first started. Where was the first imprint established? Was it in this lifetime or the next lifetime? So I'll share one life that I went into. And this life, God, you guys, it was, how people will say in the Akashic world, how they'll talk about you'll have a certain sign that shows up on your body if you had like a traumatizing death. So this life, or should I share this one? I got so many. I'm trying to figure out which one I should share. This one, I'll share this one. So this one was when I was a Lemurian king. And when I was there, there was a battle. There was a big battle. So we were all in battle. And when I looked at us family, of course, we didn't look like we look today. We still had the two eyes, nose, the mouth, but our skin was more, if we saw somebody walking down the street today, those of us that are really conscious and let go of fear, we'd be like, oh, wow, that's an interesting being. But if we had a lot of fear, you'd be running and trying to leave it. But it really looked like very, how can I describe it? The skin was very more like reptilian, and it was reptilian and human skin. That's the best way I can describe it. And our heads were a little bigger and shaped a little more beautiful. It was really a sight to see. And we're around and we're fighting, and these people are trying to take over our territory. And so I'm actually masculine energy in this lifetime. And so I had my queen, she was there, and I used to think she was just so beautiful. I remember seeing her and just being in awe. And so we're fighting, and then all of a sudden my leg gets blown off by something. I still to this day don't know what it was, but it got blown off by something, and it was my left leg. It was blown off, and I remember I was dying and everybody's coming around me. And then they gave me a ceremony. I remember the ceremony, and I'm lifting up and I'm leaving. And I jumped up and I was like, oh, wow. All my life, I have this big brown birthmark on my leg. And growing up, I used to hate it all the time. I was like, oh, it's going to make me look attractive. I don't know why it's here. Should I go get it bleached? Should I go, all that silly stuff. This is the pre-Madonna stages. Now I could care less. But now instead of thinking of it as, oh my God, it's such an ugly thing, it was an honoring thing for me to see it. So it started to change my way of thinking, is that, oh, this is an ugly part of me, I want it gone. It was almost like a scar of battle. You know how some people will look at it, well, I got this scar here, I got this doing this and that. And so it's like a badge of honor. So now I see it takes me back to a time where I was a Lumerian, and it just helps me to remember that this isn't it, that there's more to this, So it helped me to see its beauty, instead every time I saw it, I wanted it gone away. So that's just one of the, there's several different lives I've went to help me. Because when you're going back to lives, what's happening, y'all, is you're dealing with true soul transformation, not just spiritual transformation. You're dealing with soul transformation. So that's why going through different past lives are important, because remember when I said earlier, each time we come down here and incarnate, we're coming as a different avatar, a different type of identity, a different type of character, whatever it is. And all through those life journeys, remember, every time we leave this place, we're leaving with the etheric body, the chakra body, and the subconscious body. Those are all coming with us, and then going into the next, and then to the next, and to the next. So each one is just a helping. Every time you remember, you were always talking about knowledge of self. Well, this time you're really getting the true source of who you truly are through each lifetime. So it helps me to understand my character, to understand why my leg looks like this, why my hands look like this, why my face looks like this, why I act like this, why I have this character, why I do this. And sometimes, like, say if you have an anger problem, a lot of people have, but usually it's anger, anxiety, fear. Those are the top three. There's many people when I'm doing readings for that, we deal with many types of different emotions and classes, but fear and anxiety and anger are the top three. And so if you're someone that has a lot of anger, like, for example, there was what was it? This was in one of my classes that I took, not that I taught, years ago. And the class where this guy, he was a guy in this, a lady in this life, but a guy in another lifetime. And the guy was a slave owner. And the slave owner did and had his way with all the slaves, sexually, mentally, it just had its way, just totally treated them terrible. So in this lifetime, as a woman, had a lot of female problems, so once that was found, then it was then cleared, because you started to understand all the signature imprints that are in you. You start to understand them. And so you have a remedy. So it's like finding a remedy, because a lot of times, like I opened up earlier, there's not enough herbs, there's not enough exercises. It depends on how deep. Most of these problems that we have, 95% of it is emotional. 95% of all the sickness that we have is emotional. So, but a lot of times we're trying all these different tonics, and these things can help, of course. I'm not saying, oh, you can't build a tonic, you can't fast, you can't, no, that's not what I'm saying. I am saying that sometimes if you have tried many things, it goes beyond just something that is a physical disease, it goes on to an emotional one, and you have to tap into that. And so you'll see that a lot with people as well. Like, I've been doing this, but when you get in Akasha and you go under, you start to see, like, I could tell you so many stories, but I know we're heading that time. It's already getting into 1 o'clock. But yeah, and I found that when helping people and that you have that aha moment, it's just like, oh wow, it's very relieving and yet rewarding, even if it's something that, and sometimes people are afraid to go back because they may find something that is very traumatizing that they think they cannot handle. But that's not the case. And that's what happens with hypnotherapy, being hypnotized for past life regression. Some people are afraid of that, but in my experiences, you'll go through the experience, but yet you still are sound and remember that you're not completely there, even though it feels like you are. So it helps you to see the problem and be able to get past the problem. And because you now understand where it comes from, whereas you're just going and spinning your wheels on a day-to-day basis, thinking that you've been punished some way. Or and a lot of times people are seeking me out because they say, well, this karma I can't get over. What did I do in a past life? When you have the understanding, you have the recognition, you can move forward. And that's what I have found in this practice. It becomes a beautiful practice. You get a deeper understanding of self, and it's truly a soul transformation.
Yes.
I hope I made sense there.
That made a lot of sense, Khadijah. Thank you for that, because that is powerful. Because we lived 100 lifetimes and all of these different things, but then the ones that actually come up in our own personal meditations, or even with having a reading from you, now we have to kind of utilize. Like, for instance, you gave me my reading, and you said I was an Asian woman that told miraculous stories by the campfire and all this other stuff. And I know a big thing for me in this lifetime was speaking, or get like talking and really expressing myself. And when you told me that, I started opening it up more, right? And then my throat chakra and my ability to speak or express myself clearly came with more ease. So I want to thank you for that reading, because it was a beautiful thing that I had to get back to understand the power that I have within me instead of sheltering it off. Yes.
Excellent point, because that's another thing in this work. It'll affect if you have a lot of imprints in specific regions of the body. Like with me having my leg blown off, that's a big imprint, And so anytime I do root work, that's usually the place where if something happens, that's usually the place. Now I know, oh, I had a lot of limited energy here, and it now makes even more sense. Why? You remember I was sharing the story about I had anxiety. So I hadn't visited that world yet. I hadn't visited that past life yet. So of course it was still affected because I had that imprint, my current life's imprint. So a lot of root chakra energy and earth energy, people like to call it, from the legs below the 2 inches or 3 inches below the feet. All of that had a lot of imprinting and leakage energy, low energy that needed to be dealt with. So it just helps to collect and gather more energy, helps you, and it charges you. And it's exciting and it's fun. Let's not forget that. It's fun to go back and see, to literally go back and be a part of another lifetime. It's a lot of fun.
Yeah, I can dig it. I can dig it for real.
Funny enough, though, babe, I think I told you this once, but Khadijah, like I said earlier, I had, took the meditation techniques that you had gave us when going into you look cute, girl, when going into the Akashic records, and I was able to focus and stay in it for such a long time in my meditation that I met Dream in that past life. I saw who he was. I saw how we engaged with each other. And, I saw him as that Asian lady that he was talking about, in that past life. We were in somewhere in Asia near like Thailand, one of those ancient lands like that, where I was a man in that lifetime and he was a woman. And actually in that lifetime, we were not together. We couldn't be together, but we did have some sort of connection, some sort of vibration. with each other, but not in an intimate, like husband, wife, boyfriend, girlfriend type thing.
Kindred.
So,
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
that was amazing. That was amazing. But definitely your teachings and your meditation practice and visualizations helped us to get to that point.
Yeah.
Again, Khadijah, happy Mother's Day. We call you our fairy godmother because every time we engage with you, talk with you, I mean, even at the soulmate lecture in New Orleans, we ended up connecting with people who we still talk to now. Like the lady who paid, her name is Felicia, but she bought our tickets
Yes.
at the lecture.
Oh,
We have stayed in communication with her up until this point. So, you know, you
Nice.
and Panic have done something so magical and are doing something so magical that is really helping to raise the vibrations of all of us and this very impactful work. And we appreciate you so much, Khadijah. We appreciate Panic. And we're gonna let you get back to your Sunday and all of you other lovely folks in the chat.
Everybody's asking Khadijah when's the next class. It's not, I don't know if it's on there.
My Akashic class is actually next weekend. My next chakra magic class is July 17th and 18th. So it's a full weekend. Y'all know we stay a whole day. So it's all Saturday, 1 p.m. to 7 p.m. Eastern. Actually, it goes to 8 p.m. Eastern, both Saturday and Sunday. So again, Chakra Magic is July 17th and 18th, 1 p.m. to 8 p.m. And next weekend is my Akashic class from 1 p.m. to 6 p.m., both Saturday and Sunday.
And they can still sign up for that, correct?
Just go to my website. That is there. Those that want the Akashic Soul charts, you will be getting more news to come. Okay.
Sign up to that email list.
Yes. If you want, you can subscribe on my website as well. At the lower part of my website, when you scroll down any page, you can find the subscription. Just put your email in there, and there you have it.
And then last thing, Khadijah, because I be on your website and the artwork is so magical and beautiful. It looks like you're gonna end up creating the Oracle deck too.
That's been in the works. Me and Infinite Art, but we know that's going to take us about 3-4 years. But yeah, we started talking about that about 4 or 5 years ago when I first started doing it, because when I found the decks, and some people know exactly what I'm talking about, that readings, the decks don't apply to us. You know, I wanted it to apply to us. And like my Akashic hallway, that applies to us. So we see a lot of cards that we don't identify with. Just like when we grew up and we played with dolls, you know, now you can see a lot of little black dolls, little brown dolls, but you couldn't see that. You know, at least not my time. I'm telling how old I am again. I'm gonna be 50 this summer. So
you go, girl.
So yeah, you know, in my time, especially my mom's generation, we didn't have that. So basically, when I got the Akashic chart, I was like, oh man, I really don't care for none of these decks, you know. So you'll find many people that do readings have tons of decks, you know, because you'll either use several of them or you're trying to identify with what really helps you to connect, you know. And
wait, Khadijah, did we ever ask you when your birthday was?
It's the same day as Marcus Garvey, August 17th.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, August 17th.
August coming through.
Yeah, Marcus, you know, so you'll never forget it. Marcus Garvey, you know, one of my most favorite people.
Yeah, Leo, Virgo, Cuss, huh?
Not too far. Yeah, we all got some special birthdays. I got the same birthday as Elijah Muhammad.
Oh, wow. Okay. Yeah.
Dream got the same birthday as Kobe Bryant.
I got the same birthday as Dream Wise. Hey, man.
Yeah, you go ahead then, babe. You go ahead.
Yeah, man. Go ahead, Khadijah.
It looks like this is gonna be a yearly ritual, y'all. So
yes, put it on your calendar.
Get ready for the
so I wish y'all the best. How far along are you, D-Ray?
Girl, I just entered the second trimester, so it's like time is moving fast.
Doesn't it?
Fast.
Well, I wish you a beautiful, comfortable, and exciting journey through your pregnancy. And
Thank you.
We're
know,
gonna get a reading for this baby, Khadijah. Don't you worry.
yeah, and all readings now, family. I don't think I shared this part. I'm still going to be doing the Akashic readings, but those will not be live either. Everything now will be recorded and sent. We're still doing the Akashic soul charts, and then there's the Akashic readings. So the Akashic readings aren't on the soul chart per se, but just my regular ones where we deal with the past 2 lives, we deal with the present and the future, and then we start to break it down by the way of your etheric travels, your etheric, everything that's been held in your etheric field in your chakra systems. So and also we can't forget the subconscious body. So now it's broken down, because when I'm doing these readings, I can literally tell you, I could go for hours with them, you know. And it was just like I was like, okay, show me the next phase. And once I said that, it took off. But yeah, it's such a high demand, and it's never stops. You know, just when I think everything will calm down. At first I thought the high demand, well, it was because of Brother Panic. People want to know who I was. And then some people too, you know, they actually did want a reading. It's crazy. Then it kind of tapered off. And then when people started referring, oh God, it's just been, woo. Boy, I can tell you, it's a great thing, you know, but it can definitely be taxing, and scheduling is like an anchor. So, and then the rescheduling ritual that I do is just all beginning to be a little too much. So this was the solution, the resolve, you know. Now to get anything live, because I know people love to hear live voice, still have live spirit consultations from myself and from me and Panic, and then my classes.
Yeah, that spirit consultation is a must do, family, because Panic is gonna drop on your motherfucking ass.
Oh, that's right. Y'all get that too.
Yeah. It was good.
Y'all read us up and down, honey.
Yeah, we needed that, and it was
we
powerful.
did need it.
And you know, we know, we look, Khadijah, you know, we support, we coming through every time.
It don't matter what you selling, we buying it.
Yeah.
But
yeah, I had a few people, because now I have my dream class, which y'all know that took me like 3 years to build. And when I did that class, a lot of people were sad. They're like, this is the last one, because that's my sequence 3. I said, oh no, y'all, I'll have workshops that are coming, you know, everything's good.
Yeah.
And we'll be lecturing again soon. So, you know, this ain't it.
Yeah,
the party ain't over.
It ain't over.
Yeah, Corona ain't stopping nothing. Yeah, man, we appreciate the family, man. Appreciate everybody. Appreciate Khadijah, man. We love you. We appreciate
y'all too. Send me a picture as soon as the baby's born. I want to see the little one.
Oh, of course.
Yes.
Of course.
I want to see Kim. I want to see him or her.
Yes.
All right.
We are so grateful.
Shout out to y'all, family. We'll see y'all next time.
Peace. Y'all have a great Mother's Day.